Welcome back to Conservative Conversations. I am your host, Reid.
And I'm Frank.
Today we're going to be talking about Elon Musk's America Party and the wildfires out in the Grand Canyon. But before we get started, I'd like to remind you to follow us on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can also become a paid subscriber to our podcast host, Red Circle, to hear extra content. All right, well, to get started, I'm going to start with the topic of Elon Musk announcing he is going to start a new political party, the America Party. This has caused some consternation amongst, I guess, both Republicans and Democrats. Goodness, getting tongue-tied. I think when I first heard it, I didn't really think too much about it, because it just kind of seems like another Elon thing. But I don't think it'd be a terrible idea, because there are plenty of people out there who are fed up with both parties in one way or the other. And, there certainly have been candidates in the past on third-party tickets who have made a decent amount of traction, most particularly like Ross Perot back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Because he got like 15% of the votes, if I'm not mistaken. So there does seem to be some appetite for it. And I think he could probably do well, assuming he's like Elon Musk is going to be the actual head of the party or whatever. But I think he can probably do decently well with it if he attracts the right kind of candidates and things. Because I heard somebody else mention, our old pal Joe Manchin as an example, because he's kind of right there in the middle. He doesn't really, at least right before he left his Senate seat, he wasn't quite on the same side as a lot of the Democrats, and he also wasn't always on the same side as the Republicans. So I think it's, candidates and politicians like him that could probably make some decent gains in the America Party.
Well, are you ready for me to opine?
Sure,
I've got several things to say about that. I mean, right off the jump.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I would say that I don't think Elon is the right guy for it.
Sure.
Even though, yes, I think that there's appetite for it in the country.
Right.
I've said that for years. I wish we had more parties, or that we had a viable third-party option in this country, and that it just weren't left or right or conservative or liberal or Democrat, Republican, because I think you just get sort of a ripping down the middle, with a two-party system.
Right.
But I also know that Elon is like super hated right now by a lot of people. There might be some people who support him, support his country, his beliefs, his whatever. But I think there's a lot more people who don't like Elon. Now, I don't have any data or any numbers or anything, but that's just how I feel about it. I feel like there's more people who hate him than people who love him.
Right.
So I don't know that he's the guy to spearhead this.
Right.
Did you want to
say? I was just going to say, I would definitely agree with that, but I also think, like I mentioned a minute ago, it kind of depends on what kind of candidates he can attract.
Well, see, but I get your point, and that's where I was going to go next, is I think some of these milder types, the Joe Manchins, if you had a particular candidate that you wanted to mention now, you could if you wanted to. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, I don't have anybody in mind.
But Joe Manchin, I'll pick on him. It's really easy for me because I'm from West Virginia. I watched that guy's career. I've seen his political mistakes and faux pas and his corrections, how he corrects it. And that's why he landed in the middle, because West Virginia flipped to being Republican. All 55 counties went for Trump all 3 times that Trump ran.
Right.
That's how Joe wound up in the middle. It's not just in his nature. He was a party guy through and through. But if he was going to vote against all 55 counties, right? How is he going to go home and not be fried in hot oil?
Right.
That's how he wound up in the middle. I don't think he's a good candidate either. And he's been dying to be president for years, ever since. I mean, who knows? I don't know his personal mind, but I can tell you his jump into Robert Byrd's seat was the first big step, and he sure jumped at it. So I think it's been on his mind to be president, and I think he would take it any way it would come, whatever flavor. You see what I mean by that?
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, somebody else had mentioned Joe Manchin. It was just an example I thought was decently good, but I do see.
Well, my point.
Yeah,
though,
I
is
see
that
what you're saying. I was going to say I get that, and I can agree. Yeah.
I think you have to be sometimes careful about these moderate types because, yeah, okay, maybe they really are moderate, or maybe they just blow with the prevailing wind. You know, and it's like that kind of scares me too, because you kind of think, okay, well, it's a new party, it's a new year, maybe we'll give this guy a shot.
Right.
But if it's somebody who's held these ambitions close to their heart for years,
Right.
you know, it's like I said, they would do it under any banner, any flag, any party. And who knows, you know, what their true intentions are once they hold power. So I don't know. It's just kind of a little bit scary, but I also would be one to say, hey, let's give it a shot. I just think that's why. I mean, I would love a third party, but I don't know that it's now. I don't know that it's Elon.
Well, of
I
course,
don't know, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean,
I'm just kind of pessimistic about it. I think it'd be better, and I get the America Party thing, I guess, but I don't know. I think it'd be better if it were a little more pointed. You know, like, for example, when the Republican Party was first created, they were created to end slavery and end bigotry. Those were their party platforms.
right.
They found slavery as being averse to men of color and bigotry to be averse to women. So, you know, something like that, if they had a real missive,
Right.
I think that would be important too.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Like, a clearly defined, like, mission or
Platform.
yeah,
or
platform.
whatever.
And
Yeah. And I think that seems to be missing too. What's he really
Right.
trying to do?
Right. At this point, I think it's just to challenge the people he's not happy with at the moment, which
Yeah, it's like
Isn't
a
the-
petty grievance.
right, is not the best way to go about it.
And I've seen numbers. Some people have run preliminary numbers about what effect it would have, and it's all projected stuff and everything, you know. But I think I saw something that it would basically split the Republicans in half or whatever.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about that too.
So I don't know what it would do on the Democratic side, but
I'm not sure, because at least from this side, it looks like that a lot of Democrats are looking for either a better party, a better Democratic Party, or a new home. So
yeah. Well, and you sort of have that with the Republicans too. I mean,
yeah, in a
you
way.
call it how you want, but
Yeah.
it's like you have the neocons or the traditionalist Republicans, the
Right.
more George Bush types.
Right, the MAGA Republicans versus like the old establishment.
Exactly.
Republicans. Yeah.
And then, you know, so it's kind of like, well, what's holding us together right now? And it's the Republican platform. You know, that we're the grand old party, that Abraham Lincoln, all that.
Yeah.
It's the tradition of republicanism
Right.
is what's holding us together.
Right.
So, you know, all we need is a domino to fall. And I think it makes sense that you would see a big rift down the Republicans too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that kind of makes me nervous a little bit too, because whatever tentative agreement the two camps have right now, I'm sort of happy with how it's going. I mean,
Right.
I'm not in love with it or anything,
Sure.
but
Well, you never can be, really.
we've won some elections,
Yeah. Right.
so
Yeah. Well, I just thought it was an interesting idea, especially since it's certainly been talked about before. Other people have tried before, some with greater success than others.
And some with better intentions than others.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting to see how it shapes up. I know that there are a decent number of people on the board at Tesla who don't want Elon to be messing around with politics anymore.
Oh, I'm sure.
And probably the same with many of his other companies. But I guess...
Well, I'm sure there's a bunch in the RNC who don't want Elon
well, of
messing
course,
around.
yeah. But it remains to be seen what will eventually come of it.
Yep.
Well, the only last thing I was just about to say is they're certainly not going to win very big on their first try. That's for sure. At least I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Or whatever third party.
But I think that's another one of those things. Maybe if you had the right candidate.
Mm-hmm, right.
Like, for instance, let's just say hypothetically, let's say Trump had run as a third-party candidate. Let's say he had trotted out the American Party idea. Do you think he'd be president today? Or in 2016, or in any of those years that he ran? Do you think it would have worked for him? It's an interesting thought, isn't it?
Yeah, because he presumably would still be the same guy, just under a different party.
Yeah.
That is an interesting thought. I don't really know. I think he certainly would have had as best of a chance as anybody else. Well, I mean, better chance is what I mean, as anybody else would have, under a third party. Because it's kind of like what we were going to. It was his platform.
Well, and the only
that
reason,
people wanted.
Well, exactly right. I mean, he said things that nobody else would say. He got out there, he called a dog, and he called a man, and whatever, you know. He said you shouldn't kneel for the flag and all that kinds of stuff. You know, he talked about these cultural issues and, you know, didn't treat subjects with kid gloves.
Right.
And I think people on both sides were thirsty for that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing I think that I'm trying to point out is I think it takes the right person too. You know, it's not just, oh, we're hungry for a third party, because then you might as well call it the third party, and you're just doing it to not vote for either of the other two.
Right.
And I really think that if you were just trying it as a social experiment, let's say, that would be the way to do it. Let's just say, let's all vote third party. We're going to vote for the third party, you know, and not have a Democrat or a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think you really might make some headway, because you're doing it for a reason.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely interesting stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know, and anything, in theory, anything's really fun and easy to talk about. But to actually put pedal to the floor and try to drive the car at full speed is different.
Right.
You usually hit stuff, so.
Yeah.
Well, in other news about things that are shaping up or reshaping, or however you want to put it, developing, there's more talk about the EU and this trade deficit stuff, and Trump's making more waves. The market's been reacting because I guess on August 1st, the tariffs on EU goods is supposed to go back up again, another 20% from the 10% we have now, up to 30%. And some of the big heads of the EU, have been talking and saying that if it spikes back up to 30%, that they basically might just end all exports to the United States. So I know, when I heard that, I just kind of laughed, because
it's like a big fat bluff.
It is a big fat bluff. I mean, think just how many listeners, you know, somebody might be driving a Mercedes right now, or a BMW, or a Fiat, or, you know, it's like,
we're wearing like,
people love these foreign cars. I don't know why, but Americans love these foreign cars, and it's like, you really think we're such a huge market?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's not. There's plenty of stuff that we get from the EU. Like a lot of high fashion comes from Europe.
Oh yeah, all kinds of stuff. Yeah. But I just thought of cars in particular because, you know, Trump's always talking about, the perfect example is how you can drive out onto the street here and see 100 BMWs, But you drive over there, you don't see any Fords.
Right.
So that's just why I, bring that up, because that's kind of the snapshot, quintessential picture of like what I think is trying to address is this imbalance between how, we sure have appetite for their goods, but they don't really seem to want any of our stuff, or, they treat it much differently, tax it much differently. They have all these weird, somewhat bogus rules about what they'll take, what they'll accept, so on and so on. So I just think it's funny, and we saw how the markets reacted before, and then fully recovered completely. So it almost sounds like we're teeing up to go through another round of this same stuff again,
Yeah. I mean, that's just all part of the negotiating process. I mean, people are gonna react. I mean, I think it was Charlie Munger, or might not have been Charlie Munger. I can't remember the guy who was Buffett's inspiration. Graham, but one of those two said that the stock market in the present is like a voting machine, and in the long term is like a weighing machine.
Yeah, well, we've definitely seen that.
Yeah.
And I think that's just why, I wanted to write this down. Sometimes we see this with the news, that things come up and come back, and I just kind of like rolled my eyes, because the first thing is to think that you're just going to stop all exports to the United States. Oh, roll my eyes at that. What a joke. Like you said, a bluff. Perfect way to put it. But the other thing is you immediately hear some of these headlines or reactions where people are saying, oh, the markets are in turmoil, the markets are reacting, the markets are unsure, investors are unsure. Well, roll my eyes again, because it's like, give me a break. How many times are we going to do this?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what, at this point, I don't know what the whole uncertaintiness of it is, other than will they or won't they, the European Union.
We know they will.
Yeah, right.
So here would be, I'm going to quote Donald Trump, okay? It's going to be out of context. I'll see if you laugh or not, but here would be my advice to the investors out there. If anybody's nervous about the EU trade deficit deals, stand back and stand by.
Yep. That's right.
Because it's going to be okay.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've already seen it's been okay.
Uh-huh. It's been better than ever.
Yeah, it was like last week the S&P 500 hit another record high. I mean, it's come off that a little bit, but it'll come back.
Well, of course it's coming. It ebbs and flows. It can't just climb up and up and up forever.
Right? They always say trees don't grow to the sky.
That's right.
So, yeah. But I think that's interesting. The European Union would say that. I mean,
oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I can see them temporarily halting some things.
Yeah.
But no way are they going to actually stop their money makers. That'd be crazy of them.
When it's really just like one of those things where it's like almost like, how do I put it? It's like they're trying to make domestic strife here for Trump. Because it's the consumer who's going to be upset. The American consumer. I can't get my, X, Y, or Z. Insert European product here.
Yeah.
But what's a temporary... I mean, this is a guy who's not going to run for election again. What's a month of not being able to get your favorite Dom Perignon champagne or whatever, your you name it, Cartier diamond necklace or whatever you want. What's a month off from that? What's 2 months off? You really think people are going to be rioting in the streets or anything, or burning down the White House? I don't think so either. I think it's sort of preposterous. And just to, put a cherry on top, we saw the same thing with Canada, where that new guy was like, oh, we're not going to put up with this. He folded in like 24 hours or whatever.
Right.
So I don't think it'll even take a month.
No, I don't think it'll take very long either. They'll come up with some kind of agreement before too long.
I'm sure. Probably by the 15th of August at the latest.
Yeah.
But come on, I don't think it'll even take that long.
Right. Well, I guess speaking of tariffs, which are kind of like taxes, we can move into my next topic, which is about property taxes in the state of Ohio. There's a petition going around in the state to get an amendment. I believe it's an amendment to the state constitution on the ballot for next year, 2026, to eliminate property taxes in the state. And that's caused some, concerns for some people in the state and hope for others. I know as somebody who's looking for a home myself, I would like to see property taxes come down because Ohio has...
Come down or abolished?
Come down at least. I mean, I suppose it'd be nice to see them abolished. I had to wait and hear how they would replace that tax revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's part of what some people's concerns are.
You're
like,
a wise man. Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of property taxes go to like local services and the schools and stuff like that. And I haven't heard anybody calling for the abolishment of property taxes to like not fund those things. They just propose to be funded in other ways. But I was gonna say, as somebody myself who's looking for a home, it definitely make a little more affordable. Then I was gonna say Ohio has, I believe, the 7th or 8th highest property taxes on average, which kind of blew my mind. I didn't think it'd be that high.
Yeah.
But
this is interesting. I have a good question for you.
Go for it.
Does this have anything to do or in any way related to what Ron DeSantis just did in Florida? This measure to do, didn't they just do something very similar down there where he signed some bill into law about how, or advocated for something along those exact lines that you shouldn't have to pay taxes on things you already own?
I think people have been working on it here in Ohio for a little bit longer because I first heard about it maybe back in May. Something like that. And I'll have 2 videos. They're from the same guy. His name is Jason Ferrier. He is a real estate agent and real estate investor in Central Ohio.
Will you have a link to the petition?
It's not an online. You have to be in person to sign it.
Oh, I see.
But there is a link that has... I can get a link that has like dates of where people can go to sign it. But this gentleman, Jason Ferrier, has 2 channels. I first watched a video about it on his Housing Nerd channel. And then he has another one that's just the Ohio Housing Nerd. And has 2 different videos on his channels that I'll put links for. But I think it's definitely an interesting prospect. Yeah. Because, it's like I said, it certainly would help with affordability. And I know one other concern, because some of the people who've been heading up this movement are seniors. Because there are many senior citizens who, by the time they're retired in their elder age, have fully paid off their mortgages. So all they have to pay is a property tax, and some of these people are going to eventually be taxed out of their own home because they can't afford it.
Well, doesn't Ohio... They probably should look at their taxes, because don't they have... Ohio has a Homestead Act, just like West Virginia.
In one of the videos, they talk about that, and I forget what all the rules are, or provisions of whatnot are around it. But I don't think all people apply.
No, but they can. That's one of the things that I think is troublesome. Like, I think there's so much that could be addressed if we're going to talk about taxes. I don't want to get up on a soapbox or whatever, but But yes, I think it could be streamlined. But I'll just say this: they have it available to them, So it is sad because you talk about a 78-year-old little old lady who, the onus is on her to go file her tax return so that she can get that money back. And basically the only reason she's filing, she doesn't have to file federally. The only reason she's filing the state is to file for the homestead, whatever credit.
Yeah.
But still, it's available, So it sucks, I guess, that the onus is on the taxpayer, but they have a way, to basically waive those taxes.
Right.
It's just at the end of year after they're already paid. It's like a song and dance where you pay the taxes, but then you file your tax return and you get a credit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's good that something like that is available for those who it would apply to. Yeah, but some of the proposals, at least, I don't know if they're not proposals in the amendment, they're just ideas that people have talked about, that, the revenue for schools and local services can be made up by higher sales taxes, or some people have even talked about direct billing for the services.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Which in some cases makes sense, like the schools. Like I wouldn't have any children in school to necessarily need to be paying for it. I'm not utilizing that service.
Well,
but I would more likely use like fire and emergency services, at least at this point in my life anyway,
right,
than I would, the schools. But again, like I said, I haven't heard anybody talk about just not funding those things. They just think it should be done a different way. And
when it still seems to me like some sort of property tax might still exist or apply, like, at least in the first year that you go to purchase a home,
right,
it kind of makes sense to me that you might pay something,
right,
because it still has to be filed away with the county clerk. They have to keep the records,
right,
they have to pay employees to stamp and officiate and file and record keep and whatever. So they need some kind of revenue in relation to your purchase of personal property,
right.
But to just bill year after year after year is preposterous, I think.
Well, I mean, one of the arguments made is they're basically taxing unrealized gains, because you buy your house at $100,000, and the local government funded assessor, who they pay to come assess your house, appraises it $200,000 later. I mean, you haven't realized that extra $100,000, but you're paying on it. And I think at the very least some reform would be good if they don't completely get rid of it. Because, I mean, maybe set limits on how frequently the taxes can be raised and by certain amounts. Because there have been a couple people that some of these elder folks in these videos I'll share links to, where they, within like less than 10 years, their house has gone up in value $100,000.
Yeah.
And some people just can't afford it.
I think there could be some fixes, but there's no way to make everybody happy.
Right.
You're always going to run into that.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things, like, the first thing that comes to my mind is, like, is Ohio one of these balanced budget states? Are they supposed to operate off of a balanced budget?
I believe so, and that just reminded me of what I was trying to think of earlier. Back in, like, the 70s, it was either the U.S. Supreme Court or the state of Ohio Supreme Court, I haven't figured out which, already ruled that property taxes in Ohio are unconstitutional, but yet they still have them.
Well, yeah.
So
it's probably federal, because the only reason that we're taxed today is because they changed the Constitution. It's the 18th Amendment or the 16th Amendment.
Yeah.
One of the two, 16th or 18th. No, it's the 16th. I'm
Yeah.
positive. It's not the 18th. 18th was the one that said you can't drink anymore, and that's already been repealed.
Right.
But that's one of my other soapboxes. We won't get on it, but I think we just need to do away with income taxes too. And that's where I was going to go. I won't get on my soapbox, but, you know, I think because we're in the age that we're in, we're so far past the gold standard. We're so into fiat
Right.
that, you know, and fiat just means dictate. It's like by government dictate or edict, you might say, if
Right.
people recognize those words. That I don't see why things couldn't just literally be, you know, like the government shouldn't have to have a balanced budget. They should only be able to increase costs by, you know, let's say 1.5%, or let's just say 1% a year, or per term, or per cycle.
Right.
And I think you'd see some things get cut down like that too, to say that you can't employ more than you need on staff. You can't buy more than you need. You know what I mean? You can't have this. If they could really control their spending, then they wouldn't need to fleece all these extra funds from the taxpayers.
Right. Yeah, and that point is brought up by one of the gentlemen interviewed in these videos.
And everybody likes to say, oh, inflation, inflation. Okay. But if we were in a true free market, okay, the inflation argument would work. But we're not. We're not in a true free market. So give me a break on the inflation thing. Inflation, sure, it affects the government, but not when they print the coin. I'm sorry. They need to do something about their own inflation. When they're the ones creating the inflation and then using it as an excuse to, you know, put higher taxes on the people.
Right.
No. Bogus. Bogus.
Yeah. Well, I just thought this has been an interesting situation developing here in Ohio that I've kind of been following.
Well, and I love some of the caveats you gave too, because it's like, you know, part of me just knee-jerk reaction is like, oh, when can I sign the petition? But of course they're going to make it up someplace else.
Yeah,
of course
right.
they are.
Yeah. Yep. But that's all I got. I'll do my best to find that link that has the petition sites and dates for anybody in Ohio who would like to go sign it.
All right. Do we have time for another one?
Yeah, we can do one more if you want.
All right. Well, then I think we'll turn our attention to some of these wildfires that have been happening out near the Grand Canyon.
Oh, yeah, I just heard about that today on the local news.
Yeah. Well, the Grand Canyon, it's not my favorite place in our country, but it's probably one of the most famous places in our country. And I do like the Grand Canyon an awful lot. Been there a couple times. It's pretty cool place. And if, you know, this news hadn't just hit about all these wildfires and all the destruction out there, the first place I would have pointed somebody to go is to the Grand Canyon Lodge. How neat it is. There's a little gift shop inside. You can climb up, look out the tower. It's got beautiful views. I mean, it's just such a neat place. But now it's gone. It has been burned down, destroyed. And I think it's sad because, of course, you know, at great expense, they'll rebuild something.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be the place that I know and love,
Right.
have visited. And
Yeah, it's not going to be the same.
no, and just think of all the people, you know, somebody hearing this right now, maybe not everybody, but somebody has also been there, but not anymore. It won't be the same.
Right.
And I just think that's so sad. But luckily, you know, when I first heard about this, my grandmother told me about it. I misheard her. And in my mind, I thought she was saying that the Great Lodge at Yellowstone National Park had burned. And that, I can't tell you. I mean, the one at the Grand Canyon, is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell anybody, go check it out. I can't anymore. But, I would have told anybody, go check that place out first.
Right.
If you're going to be there, you have to see it. It's the coolest thing about the Grand Canyon, in my opinion, or was. But the one at Yellowstone is so cool. And I don't think it could be recreated.
Right.
Like, there's just no way in HE double hockey stick that they could even do a decent job at restoring it.
Right.
So I guess in a way, somebody would totally disagree with me, but I just thank God that I misheard her and that it wasn't the Yellowstone Lodge. But still, my heart does go out, for the Grand Canyon Lodge. I hope nobody was hurt, because I heard that lots of the park rangers living quarters and whatever the government buildings and whatever they have out there, a lot of these facilities got destroyed.
Right.
So that sucks. And I didn't hear that any lives were lost, but I certainly hope no lives were lost. Nobody got injured. And I hope nobody's just weeping over the Grand Canyon Lodge. But if you are, I can understand, because I would do the same for the Yellowstone Lodge. So,
Yeah, I heard the fires have been burning since the 4th of July, so it's like 10 days at the time we're recording.
can't believe that.
And I've never been there. I think it'd be neat to go. And I wish I was able to see, because one thing I would do, because I'm pretty sure I've heard they got these glass ledges.
They have one, yeah.
Yeah, the glass. Yeah, I'd go on that. And look,
I would too. They didn't.
look
It
down.
was past the last time I was out there. I was 18, so it would have been 2010. But it hadn't been built yet.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was really that recent.
Yeah, but it's just this like horseshoe or like U shape or rainbow half a rainbow shape or whatever that just goes out. It's just this platform that extends over the edge, and it's made out of glass. You can look straight down.
Yeah.
It would be pretty neat, but
I'm sure it'd freak a lot of people out that don't like heights. Like, oh my gosh.
well, I'll tell you, the Grand Canyon will do that. If you don't like heights, you wouldn't like standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon. You'd be freaked out by that. But
Yeah, I guess it would kind of, in a way, be like you're on top of a big building.
yeah.
Except you got earth behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really an amazing thing, because it's just flat behind you, but you get right up to the edge, and then there's this huge,
Nothing.
canyon.
Yeah.
So it really is kind of freaky.
Are you able to see the other side of it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can.
I couldn't remember how wide it was.
Well, it's pretty wide, but you can see over. I mean, it's not
Okay.
like you wouldn't want to try to jump.
Oh, of course not. I mean, I don't think Evil Knievel made it.
No, it's pretty large,
Yeah.
but you can
I
see
got
the
you.
other side, yeah.
Well, that is a bit of sad news for the Grand Canyon.
Yes, it is.
Well, since we're talking about that, I would feel amiss if we didn't also extend our condolences to anybody who's in Texas who has been affected by the floods.
Yes.
I heard the death toll is now up to like 135, which
Wow.
is crazy.
Well, an interesting thing is that I heard from somebody, I don't have a link, it won't be in the show notes, but you can look it up if you care to. But I heard an expert saying that the reason that those floods were so bad was because they recently had wildfires. Like in the last couple years, they had some big fires go through certain parts of Texas there. And the way this guy was like some kind of scientist type or whatever, and he was talking about how the fire, burns the trees, which feed the soil
Right.
and whatever. And, it's this whole like biosphere
Right.
kind of thing. And because the trees were dead, and the top layer of soil had been burned or whatever, that's why.
Yeah, like
that
nowhere
this-
for the water to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when the rain, it's only like 5 or 6 feet or inches. I don't remember. I'm not the expert, okay? But whatever had fallen just immediately just wipes all the earth and everything away too. And it just causes this huge, like, I don't want to say like slip and slide kind of thing or whatever, but Yeah, that's why it's been so bad. Is because of all the fires that have been going on.
Wow. But yes, certainly condolences and prayers to anybody affected by that, because that is a lot of lives lost.
Yeah, that is.
But
Which is terrible.
yeah, it certainly is. Well, I think that is all of our regular news. We got a couple extra topics for the exclusive segment that we're going to hit real quick. So if you would like to hear those, you can become a paid subscriber through our podcast host Red Circle. Just go search for Contemporary Conservative. And there will also be links in the show notes. Well, all right, folks. Or listeners, that is all the news we got for today. And if you enjoyed listening to this, be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. You can find us on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, and many other popular platforms. Just search for Contemporary Conservative. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel under the same name. And if you would like to hear the extra content from this episode, be sure to become a paid subscriber through our podcast host, Red Circle. We would greatly appreciate it.
That's right. We hope you might share us with a friend or two and encourage them to become paid subscribers so that they have access to the same bonus and exclusive content that you have access to. And as always, we thank you for listening.